20 school year, it seems, and it's been anything but usual since that point. I guess, what's it been like for you in that position, getting up to where you guys are now, preparing to head to Birmingham for this first meet?
Well, it has certainly been a challenge, to say the least. It's nothing anybody can really prepare for. I mean, in 20 plus years of coaching, I've never seen anything like this. So it's really been difficult. But at the same time, I think the coaches and administration spend more time trying to figure it out and worry about it and deal with it than the student athletes. I think the student athletes have done a phenomenal job of, well, this is what I've got. So they train as hard as they can. They train on their own, and they go out and do what we ask them to do, even with, wear a mask when you do everything. Stay away from everybody else. Basically, it's don't have a social life during this time, which is fine with me anyway. But for the student athletes, it's hard. They're kind of losing out on some of their college experience, I'm afraid, but they've done a fantastic job with it. The assistant coaches that we have here have just done a remarkable job since last March, when they said, okay, everybody go home and don't be here, but still do your job and be ready for this year. Is really, really, really difficult. But I know Tosha and Brooke spent so much time on the phone, on the computer, trying to stay in touch with the kids, trying to take care of training, trying to take care of the academic side of things, which is, I know at times, I think we felt like kind of high-priced academic advisors at the end of last spring, but that was our main job, so that's what we did. And I can't say enough about the support that Western has given us and the student athletes, what they've been willing to sacrifice to come in and be ready to go. And I think right now we're in a good place. Most of us are healthy. We've got a few that are coming off of COVID, but that's okay. I mean, it's going to happen. Everybody expected it after Christmas, so I'm really happy with where we are. Travel is going to be difficult. Try to put a men's team and a women's team on a bus, and you have to assign seats and have spaces in between. But if you've had COVID, you can sit next to somebody. If you haven't had it, you can't sit next to somebody. And we're kind of going back to second and third grade with assigned seats. But our student athletes are phenomenal. They don't really question. They don't complain. They just do everything they can do. And we're looking forward to the year.
Taryn Johnson, WNKY 40 TV here in Bowling Green. I have a question for all of our student athletes here on the chat, and you guys can just chime in randomly as you would like. But I got to know, how has the preparation for this upcoming season been? And for those of you who have been around for longer than a year, how has it differed from in years past? And how do you feel as far as your preparation for the first meet this Saturday compared to in years past?
Dedrick, you want to lead off? You've been here longer.
Yeah, I'll start off. It's been different, a lot different than years in the past. But just coming in, I missed the first meet, so it'd be a little more difficult for me. But yeah, last year when we came in, we had a new coach. So I mean, every year we have a new challenge coming in. So it's not much different from years past. Just something new to come up and new adversity. But we just have to push through it like every year. So.
Alexis, Grace, you guys are returning athletes, so maybe I should have picked more talkative people, Dana. I'm sorry.
This year
I never thought this group would be quiet, but
this year it was more of a gradual increase in training instead of last year. She just threw everything straight at us. So we're still kind of getting back into the flow of the hard training, but I still think that we're definitely ready for this meet this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, it was definitely a change from last year, but it's not that much different just because it kind of got cut off right when we were in the swing of things. So It's not been too bad. We have a really good team and coaching staff that's been here to help us and make it more normal, even though it's not really normal at all. So it's not been too bad.
That leaves me. Well, as far as being a freshman coming in, the training is definitely different from being in high school to now a college athlete. There's a lot of different training things that we've done that I haven't done in the past. And, coming off of not having a senior season, I'm really expecting to have a great freshman season. It's going to be exciting, and I'm ready to get after it.
Hey, it's Charles Moore with the College Heights Herald. Question for both the coaches and student athletes. Are there any specific goals you all are setting for yourselves and working towards during this season?
I'll start to make that pretty quick for me. Right now, early on for this weekend and next weekend, it's don't get hurt. I don't know that if we're all at the athletic peak that we need to be for competition, coming off a very, very long break between Thanksgiving and then getting back onto campus and getting to train. So if we can get to the next 2 weekends with no injuries, I think I'm going to be very happy. Performances will come. We're still over a month away from the conference championship, so we've got time to get that worked out. But for me, it's staying healthy, and it'll be interesting to be on the road with this team and see how they interact and support each other. But I think they've done a really good job of all that so far. Performance-wise, I don't have any great expectations for the first meet. We've been back for a week trying to train, so next weekend we're going to do a little bit more. I think by the time we get to the conference championship, we'll have a better team than we had last year. So that's very, very exciting for me. And as we build this process and try to build the team, but I'm happy with where we are, especially considering everything we've been through. So that's my 2 cents. So somebody else can talk about it. Coaches.
Yeah, I'll echo kind of what you were saying, Brent, about just keeping the kids healthy. Of course, physically, the main thing is right now we're just trying to get them to get in a routine right now. They're just coming back from being at home, and we know those little routines we had established get a little shaken up. So when they come back here, it's very crucial to get them back in a comfortable routine in this setting, because if they can make it through these first couple of weeks of training and getting back in the weight room and things of that nature, they're going to be sore, but hopefully we prevent those injuries and try to build a foundation for the season. Like Coach Chumbley said, the performances will come, but you got to be realistic in knowing that you're getting kids back with 5 or 6 weeks before a conference championship, and we know as coaches and athletes, you're not going to get very far in those weeks. That's why you hope your kids get some things done while they're at home, especially with COVID situations with everybody right now. The protocol of keeping them healthy in that regard is very important, because it may just come down to getting kids on the line versus other schools not even getting their kids online, no matter what shape they're in. If something were to happen and they can't get there, that's an opportunity for us. We don't want to see that happen to anyone. We want the best competition at the meet for sure, but you got to be prepared for whatever. So all we can control is our situation, traveling to meets, traveling to and from other venues, and hopefully we can control things and our kids to stay safe and keeping their hands washed, sanitized, masks, things of that nature. So when it's time for them to compete, they don't have to worry about those little things, because they know they've done all they can to get themselves there healthy. So that's kind of my 2 cents. And again, the performances will come. We'll get plenty of opportunity, hopefully, to race. And I think that'll kind of get them where they need to be and get those nerves out the way in the first meet, and they'll be confident for conference, hopefully in 4 weeks.
I mean, pretty much echoing the same thing as the rest of the coaches, basically just trying to make sure that everyone is healthy, just getting through the line. As far as the goals, I just want them to finish, and maintain a good attitude as we're going through this. And we're all going through it together. And you just have a positive experience as much as we can with this, because it's COVID and we're going to get it done regardless, but we're just going to have to push through.
Yeah, I think we all pretty much have the same goal. We really just want to get through this season and like not just like suffer through it. We all want to go to the meets. We all want to reach new goals, get new PRs. I just really want to get through this season and hopefully get to next season and watch my teammates do better.
I think one of my personal goals is, especially for this weekend, a lot of people haven't competed in a while. I want to be, the best teammate that I can be. I want to be able to cheer everybody on and let everybody know that I have their back and the whole team has their back. And be there for them because a lot of people might not perform the way they want to. It's been a long time that any of us have been actually competed in an actual meet. So yeah, I think that's my goal is to just be the best teammate that I can be.
My goal is just to support my teammates, like Kaison said, and also execute my races how they're supposed to be done, and actually run with the correct form, and just be there for myself and my teammates and my coaches if they need anything.
Yeah, kind of the same thing for me, and I guess most of the distance guys just getting the numbers up, getting guys on the line, getting ready to race. A lot of teams are going through the same thing, so you can't really use that's too much of an excuse. But yeah, just getting race ready is the main goal right now.
Brooks, this is Jared with the Daily News again. Hope you've been doing well since we had you in cross country season. Kind of a two-parter here. How much of an advantage do you think it is that you were able to go through a cross country season, just in the weird year that it is and have that experience, and a lot of the kids coming back for distance events? And then, who do you expect to kind of be some top performers this year in the different events in those distance events this spring?
Yeah, everything's going well so far. Thank you for that. Cross country, I think it was great because, again, I'm a newer coach here, and we wanted to build those relationships, want to get these kids used to kind of the swing of things with training. So having that fall to not only train, but then travel and compete. And then they're kind of used to the protocol of staying healthy and, how we're having to navigate through COVID right now. They had a little leg up on, say, track and field, who are still just, at home or at school training. So, and then the kids know that my training is pretty tough. It's hard. So being able to train hard and still have to compete, and then still have to be in the weight room the next Monday and still have to go through those cycles. They're getting to track season knowing that, hey, I've done it already in the fall. I can do it again in the spring. And they understand the importance of staying healthy. They've seen some of their teammates train hard, and then maybe an injury comes up and they see, okay, that's something that I need to be a little more aware of in my training. So, yeah, I think it definitely was an advantage for them. And, also having new kids on the team from all over the country and all over the world, really, for them to have the experience of competing and seeing how things go, it's not going to be as big of adjustment for them. Performers I see doing well, definitely a lot of my returners I see doing well. Again, I got here last year at this time, and to see kind of what they're doing now versus last year this time, it's completely different. It's on a whole nother level, and I'm excited to see what they can do. And then also, yes, I've had a couple of freshmen coming in now, and they're training really well. And but as far as performances, it'll eventually show. It may not be the first weekend, may not be the indoor season, but as the season progresses, their performances will steadily improve. And I think consistently they'll rise in the ranking of the conference, and more teams in the conference will start seeing Western Kentucky as a school that has strong distance runners for sure.
Taryn Johnson, WNKY 40 TV again. Coach Chumbley, you mentioned some of the challenges that you guys will face during the regular season as far as assigned seating, travel to and from meets, and so on. But what are some of those, and this is for all of our coaches here, what are some of the challenges that you all faced in the off season in trying to train your student athletes to get ready for the season and just dealing with COVID protocols and regulations in general?
Right. That's Basically, it's mostly just a logistics items for us. Um, Taking their temperature a lot. Every day we see them, here, let me take your temperature. Mask, social distancing, and for us during the outdoor practice in the fall, it was pretty easy. We can social distance outside at the track. You don't have to be on top of each other, so it's pretty simple for us. It's just something that we have to be aware of. We wear a mask way too much, but everybody does now. Hopefully everybody wears it way too much. Logistics such as the athletic training room, I think, was a big thing for us to get used to. You had to schedule any kind of appointment in the athletic training room. You couldn't go in when it was really convenient for you. So the student athletes had to adjust to that. They had to adjust to schedules. You know, some of their classes are online, some of their classes are in person, some of their classes are hybrid. So it's hard for them to get into a good set routine when that changes all the time. The weight room presents a lot of challenges as well. Limited to 18 people at a time in the weight room. If you've got a team of 18, that's fine, but you know, we have to split up. Sprinters at one time, sprints and jumps have to split up into two groups, and then throwers have to go in. Distance goes in at different times because it's just all over the place. So the logistics of it, it's no longer a 8 to 5 deal for us. It's a 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. deal almost every day, just because of the social distancing, the protocols, and the cleaning of the weight room, the cleaning of everything else. So from that standpoint, I think it's been a real challenge. And if you're not good at time management, the fall was not good to you. Luckily, I think our kids did a really good job with that for the most part. I think we as coaches kind of get turned around sometimes, trying to remember what time we have practices with what groups and where we're supposed to be. But it's the new normal now. So it was just a logistical thing. And everybody at this point, it is a business, so we should be able to handle it. And I think my staff did a great job with it. Coaches, any thoughts?
I mean, for me, it's pretty much just what you said. For me, I initially started my groups off in smaller pods, and then whatever they touched, I would spray everything down. So I would say, okay, I'm going to bring it out. You're going to put it back in. You put it at the door. I spray it down and put everything back, so I keep everybody in my group safe. So that's what for me. And then we eventually just started trying to incorporate them a little bit more, and then I always had hand sanitizer out for them and things of that nature, because my main goal for them is for them to feel comfortable in the session, and then also feel like, okay, my coach cares enough about me to make sure that I'm safe. So I'm going to make sure that my teammates are safe as well. So that was my big thing for me and my group and doing what we did. So the logistics, just as Coach Chumbley said, trying to figure out what time the weight room was, making sure they are in there, make sure everyone wears their mask throughout the whole time there. When we're in sessions, we started incorporating here recently more so of, okay, when we're in these sessions, I'm asking, hey, 2 of these sessions here or there, make sure you're wearing your mask for the warm up, because once we get into these competitions, they're going to require that you warm up with the mask on. So you might want to go ahead and get used to that now, because you don't want to get there all of a sudden and just put them in a situation that they've never been in, and then it's all uncomfortable. Let's start getting them used to these types of things that are going to be occurring now, so that way there's not an issue later on. So those are just some things in my event group area.
For me, since August, the main thing that I've been trying to reiterate with these kids, and it's tough, is that 9 times out of 10, the chances of them getting COVID is going to come when we're not in our environment. It's going to be outside of our environment. It's going to be interacting with students that aren't athletes. It's going to be interacting with people that aren't students. It's going to be interacting, doing things that you just normally mindlessly do throughout your day that we just come accustomed to in our society. Now things are differently. Now you have to be aware of your situation, your surroundings, how close you are to people, who you're around. You don't know. You almost have to assume that if you don't know them, you don't know their testing, you have to assume that there's a chance you could get COVID from even family members. So it's been tough to do that. I know that these kids need to have a social outlook, and they have to have these other things. They can't just be, a hermit and train. But I do, try my best to tell them, hey, be social amongst each other. And right now, we have to just be safe, main thing. So you'll see, and we've seen that, a lot of times when kids do get COVID, it was interacting with someone that wasn't an athlete. It was being away from Bowling Green. So as tough as it is, we know that we can only control what we can control in our environment. I'm not worried about that too much. It's worrying about, what's outside of our environment. So that's the thing that I try to remind them is outside of this environment we're in, you're going to be safe here, but outside of it, you have to kind of be aware. You don't have to be paranoid, but just be aware of your surroundings and do what you can to stay safe outside of our little bubble, I guess you could call it.
Charles Moore with the College Heights Herald again. Looking through the roster, there's quite a few freshmen on the team this year. Coaches, is there anybody that you're really keeping an eye on? Anybody we should watch for to break out?
Well, for me, in terms of freshmen, I guess I'll put the man on the spot that's sitting here with us today, Kaison. We were lucky enough to get him out of Alabama. Brought him from the Mobile area. And I think he's going to, the expectation for Kaison is to show the conference and the region and eventually nationally that we are committed to the throwing events again. Well, I mean, that's one of the things that we're going to do. And of course, I'm being a little bit selfish coaching the throwers. I want that to go well. I need that to go well. But I feel the same way about pole vaulter. So Grace is sitting here but she's a sophomore. So we already know what she's capable of. So we just expect better and better things from her. But in terms of freshmen, Kaison from my group is certainly one that better make an impact or we've gone wrong. So no pressure, Kaison. But he knows that. He expects it of himself, and he wouldn't be here if he didn't. So I think we've had a great start, and we're seeing some things at practice that are really exciting. So we just need to transfer that out onto the track. Other coaches?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I normally don't try to put too much pressure on the kids or say anything. I try to keep all my thoughts to myself, even though my facial expression gives pretty much everything that I'm thinking away. I would say possibly Elliot Bryant. He's a Kentucky kid, low-key kid who actually played football initially, and I just kind of happened to see him at a meet. I think he should have a good season. And then also Jonathan Allen, he's from Texas. Once they start getting into the rhythm of things, I think we should be pleasantly surprised to see what they end up doing. That's it.
Well, for myself, I would say one freshman is definitely going to shine for us. At some point is going to be Kaison Buchanan, a freshman from Australia. He was the bronze medalist in the under-20 Australian Championships, 150 half miler. I'm a little bit biased when it comes to the half mile since that was my event. And so he knows I'm probably going to put, again, there's some kids that I do put pressure on, and he's going to be one of those kids that I put the pressure on. But again, being a champion means being able to handle pressure. So I learned that throughout my career. The more I could handle pressure, the better I did. So he's going to get that from me. In a controlled environment, of course, it's gonna be making sense to put that pressure at certain points on him. But I could see him definitely being, if he could stay healthy and consistent, he'll be one of the top half milers in the conference. And again, having older guys like Dedrick, Troxell to push him in practice. I mean, I encourage that type of environment in practice because I'm a strong believer in iron sharpens iron. So I create those environments in practice where I let them know that, hey, he's going to be here. You're going to be there. Don't let him just beat you in practice. So we do push each other. We almost compete against each other in practice. But coming from my coaching background at LSU, like that's exactly what we did. We put them in situations pressure situations, sometimes it'd be just to make a DMR for nationals. Like we'd make them race in practice. So, but the long story short, Casey Buchanan, if he can handle the pressure and he can handle the environment that we're going to be in practice, he's not going to have a trouble in Conference USA competing with these kids. And then as he progresses, he could definitely be a national level kid for sure.
Is there anything else in particular for our student athletes? I told them to expect 30 minutes, so I don't want to go over their time. So anything else for our student athletes in particular?
Yeah, I've got one. This is Jared with the Daily News. This is for Kaison. You know, Coach just talked about you and the expectations on you. You know, you're coming in a weird situation. Like you said, you didn't get your senior season. So I guess what was the whole process like getting to this point now, going from high school, being recruited and coming here and now getting ready for your first meet?
Well, in high school, I definitely expected to be a football player all up until probably about my junior year. Then I realized that many 5'11" kids don't go play college football. So I started picking up track. I got with a really good coach, and eventually I made the connection with Coach Chumbley, and he made the drive, a very, very long drive, back and forth some places, and came down and recruited me and saw me practice. And I think I was on a visit the next weekend. But then now that I'm here, you know, getting ready for this first meet is definitely nerve-wracking. I think about all the things that can go wrong, but I think about all the things that can go right as well. I think about, I think I'm trying to go out this weekend and win it all when I really should just go out this weekend and try to get used to being a college athlete and getting the competition. But it's definitely been a weird year, to say the least. I haven't really been able to train like I thought I would. We're all in the weight room separated. You don't have anybody to lift with or talk to while you're lifting, really. At practice, it's not as bad. We're able to still kind of socialize while we're social distancing and stuff. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'm really excited for the season. I got used to what we're doing now last year, kind of in a way. So I know what to expect at the meets and all that. But I'm just really excited for me and my teammates to go show out and hopefully bring back a win.
Anything else for them before we let them go? Okay, you guys are free to go. Anything else for our coaches?
Yeah, I've got one more. I know we just talked, this is Jared from the Daily News. I know I talked with Brooks a little bit about it, and especially with cross country in the fall too. But, you know, we talked about some of the younger kids, the freshmen coming in that you had expectations for, but the returning kids, you know, obviously we know some of the ones what they were able to do in the past, but I guess, is there anybody, an older kid that you expect to take that next step, or just like anybody in particular in a situation like that?
Tosha, you want to make sure you hit on that? I think most of it's going to be, a lot of it's going to be your kids too.
Yeah, I'll definitely speak on Dartez Hamlin. He's a young man who's, you know, he's been close to qualifying for USA Championships, I believe it is, as well. So we were at one point setting up that his training program was set up for Olympic trials. So we're just right now just trying to make sure he's staying healthy, still enjoying the sport more than anything else, because, you know, you do it so much that you begin to have a kind of a love-hate relationship with the sport. So that's why with him, you know, there is pressure with him, but then there's also that fun that we have in practice, because I do believe in having fun in practice, because if you can't enjoy it, you're not going to want to really do it. So I try to do as much as I can to make the practice sessions as enjoyable as possible, while also maintaining a little bit of a pressure. But me and him have our pressure of how we do our things. He's one of those kids that he understands the sports. He understands the energy systems, the training cycle, the annual plan of when he's supposed to peak, how to set it up. You know, we have our Google Docs that we always discuss what's going on in his training program. and we have open dialogue, because I feel like if you don't have that open dialogue with some of your athletes in that aspect, they're not going to do that well for you. We just had a discussion yesterday, he said, I need to lose, because he's never lost a race. And I appreciate that about him, because he knows if he loses, that's going to bring that hunger for him. And I hope he does lose. I hope he does lose to someone that he knows that he shouldn't lose to, because that's going to really set him apart and make him want to go after even more. But that's the kid that I would definitely be looking for the future. He is looking into going into college coaching, and we've been discussing and talking to different people about that, and just trying to help him network and get to know other coaches and how the sport works. So that's the kid I would definitely be looking forward to for the future.
Yeah, I have a couple of kids that I want to talk about that I feel are going to take that next step. First one, he's here with us, Dedrick Troxell, one of my captains. Dedrick, he's the type of guy that's going to, when there's an opportunity come up, he's going to definitely take it. I mean, look at last year. He went into the indoor conference championship ranked 21st in the mile, and he ended up finishing 4th, even though he was the last guy to make the final. So he's someone that's going to rise to the occasion when it's time to. He's definitely someone that's going to race up from his training, meaning he's going to race a little better than what you're seeing in practice, which is a great thing and not very common. So the thing about him, I think if he can be a little more assertive, a little more sure of himself when he races, take a little more risk, he could definitely be a close to a sub 4 minute miler this year, and definitely before he graduates, try to get that school record in the mile. But for now, I could see him definitely rising up and knowing that, and letting the conference know that 4th place last year was definitely not a fluke, and he'll be much better. He's already, I'd say right now, he's better than he was when he was 4th place at this point, and he hasn't even raced yet. So just some of the things he's done in practice, he can almost handle twice the workload that he could last year. So that is very exciting. And then another guy I got in Clint Sherman. He's the first guy I've ever coached that literally has gone over a year and compete. And every time he competes, he runs a PR. So he's on a PR streak dating back from last indoor season, last December. And that's going through indoors, going through cross country season. Every single meet he's competed in, he's run a PR. So no pressure on him to keep that streak going, but it's just because he's the type of guy that once he competes, however well he does, he's already looking past it. He's looking to the next meet. Next time he shows up to the meet, he expects himself to do better than the last time he was there. So, and if he keeps that kind of attitude going, he's going to put himself in a situation where he can compete with the distance guys in our conference, because our conference, as far as distance goes, is very, very strong. So he's a guy that, most of these schools would not have put on their conference team 2 years ago. So to say 2 years later, he's now could put himself in a position to be in that conversation of top runners in the conference is very exciting. And I look forward to seeing those two guys compete along with Casey in practice, and then also elevate this team. As far as us having a DMR last year, we did not have one. And I can see those three guys coming together with one of Tosha's young guys to definitely have one of the top DMRs in the conference, if not win the conference in the DMR. So look out for that as well.
I just want to, kind of reiterate, first of all, Grace Turner with pole vault. I think she had a fantastic summer. Physically, she had a fantastic summer. She came back stronger, looked real good. And I've been kind of trying to preach to her since she got here. Grace, you got to get a little bit stronger if you're going to do this at this level, because Grace isn't the biggest girl you're going to see walk around on the track. All right, she can swell up a little bit, but she has worked incredibly hard physically. She can now do some drill work and things that she couldn't do last year at all. She can do them now, and it's just because she's taken the time to go out and do that work. Practice is going exceptionally well right now. So, I would expect her to have kind of a breakout season, as long as she can stay healthy. I think she can jump well in Birmingham. I know she'll jump well outdoor, but I think she's going to move away from that, bottom end scoring at the conference championship. We stay healthy. right now I think she's going to be one of those that's probably going to be on a podium for us. She definitely has that potential. The way she's jumping right now, the way she's attacking things is very exciting. I also think another pole vaulter, Devin Montgomery, our guy, he's training exceptionally well right now. We're limited indoors where we practice. Unfortunately, he's jumping on his smallest pole and he's putting his foot in the ceiling at the D1 training facility where we try to practice. So he can't even get on his bigger poles. He's jumping on his smallest warm-up pole, and we were afraid he was going to leave his shoe in the ceiling last week at practice. So we're having to make some adjustments on that, but I think he's going to be another one of those guys that all of a sudden you're going to see him creeping up into that top 2, 3, 4 people in the pole vault if we can stay healthy and have good training. So those are the two for me that I think can really the two returners that can really make some big gains this year. And for Grace, certainly when we get to outdoor, talking about going to NCAA first round and having some fun with those things. So.
Yeah, I wanted to mention, I forgot to mention one young man, Marla Mosley. Last year he was ranked in the top 2 to 3 for the 400. I mean, I know we always talk about Dartez because Dartez is our conference champion in the 200, but Marlo, he's a senior this year as well. He's going to do very well as long as he stays healthy, stays focused. My expectation for Marlo is to be conference champion. I'm going to go ahead and say that. And he knows that I say that, and he knows I have the expectation for him is for him to be the conference champion in the 4, and for him and Dartez to be 1 and 2 in the 200. Now, which one is going to be 1? Who knows? Because when they battle in practice, they battle in practice. So those 2 young men, I think they're going to do very well. Marlo does also have a chance, because I've been talking with the people from the Olympic Training Center about some of his testing and stuff. If he can stay with it, he could probably be out there as well with Dartez running post-collegiately. And then another person is Alexis Williams. She was just on here. She had to go off. But she has a capability to do a lot of great things, just making sure that she stays aggressive through it. I think that she will definitely be in the top 3 in our conference. And then possibly moving forward towards to see how first rounds goes as well. And yeah, those 3. And I didn't want to leave them out because I know that they're well-deserved athletes. So.
Anything else for our coaches or remaining student athletes? Everybody good?